Okay, so remember smart glasses? Yeah, that whole thing that was supposed to be the next big thing and then just kind of fizzled out? Well, guess what? They're back. And this time, they have a secret weapon, AI.
So here's the big, audacious question on everyone's mind. Could these things actually replace the smartphone? I mean, that's the dream, right? But before we can even think about the future, we have to look back at let's call it a learning experience, that was the original Google Glass.
All right, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll dive into the story of Google Glass. Then, we'll see how Meta is flipping the script with a fashion-first strategy. We'll also get into some wild, almost sci-fi control tech. After that, we'll check out Google's big comeback play, and finally, we'll zoom out to see who else is in this race.
Okay, first up, the ghost of Google Glass. You know, to really get where this is all headed, we have to understand why the first big attempt was such a public flop. It's a classic tech cautionary tale, for sure.
Man, this timeline really tells a story, doesn't it? It all kicks off in 2013 with this massive wave of hype, the Explorer edition. But look at that, just 2 years later, the consumer version gets shelved. It kind of limped along as a tool for businesses for a few years, but by 2023, it was lights out. A whole decade from the future is here to, well, the future is canceled. So what went so wrong? It really boils down to 3 big things. First, the price. $1,500? Yeah, that was a tough sell. Then there were the massive privacy issues. I mean, nobody liked the idea of a camera always pointed in their face. And finally, let's be honest, the look, it just screamed tech nerd in a way that made people feel awkward.
All right, so let's shift gears and look at Meta. They clearly took notes on Google's failures. Their big move? They partnered with Ray-Ban. Super smart. They decided to solve the biggest problem first, the cool factor. The whole idea is to hide the tech in plain sight, making something people actually want to be seen in.
So Meta isn't just making one pair. They have this 2-pronged attack. You've got your standard Ray-Ban Meta, which is all about taking photos, video, and listening to audio. But then you have the display model. And that's where it starts to get really, really interesting, because it adds an actual screen inside the lens and, get this, a completely new way to control everything. Okay, let's talk cameras, because there's a really interesting trade-off here. For photos, both are the same, 12 megapixels, pretty solid. But for video, and this is kind of weird, the standard version without a screen shoots in a higher resolution, 3K. The fancier display model actually drops down to 1080p. Why? Well, it needs all that extra power to run the little screen in your eye and handle things like zoom. So you're trading raw video quality for more features.
All right, you ready for this? This is where we step straight into sci-fi territory. To control the display glasses, Meta built this wristband, the Neural Band, and it's basically like mind control for your face.
So how does this mind control actually work? The tech is called electromyography. Yeah, it's a mouthful. Let's just call it SEMG. Basically, the band on your wrist is listening. It's sensing the tiny electrical signals your brain sends to your finger muscles when you think about moving them. So it can pick up on your intention to, say, click on something, sometimes even before your finger fully moves. It's wild.
And using it is all about these subtle little hand movements. So a simple pinch together of your thumb and index finger, that's your click. Do it twice and you turn the display on or off. Want to scroll? Just swipe your thumb across your index finger. And for volume, you do this little pinch and twist motion, almost like you're turning a tiny invisible dial. Pretty cool, right?
Okay, but let's be real, it's not perfect. Not yet anyway. People who've tried it say the gestures don't always register right, and it takes a while to get the hang of it. Plus, there are the everyday annoyances. It has to fit just right on your wrist to even work. And yeah, it's another single thing you have to remember to charge. And of course, it has its own special charging cable. Ugh.
So this tech is pretty wild. It makes you wonder, is this really the future? Or is it just too much, too complicated for the average person? I'm genuinely curious what you think. What are your biggest questions about all this? Drop them in the comments below. Let's talk about it.
Okay, so let's swing the spotlight back over to Google, the company that kicked this whole thing off. Just because they pulled the plug on the original Glass doesn't mean they're out of the game. Oh no, they are planning a massive comeback, and it really looks like they've learned some hard lessons from round 1. So here's the game plan. We're expecting 2 new models from them around 2026. And this isn't just Google Glass 2.0. This is a complete reboot. We're talking a whole new system built on their powerful Gemini AI and a new operating system they're calling Android XR. A fresh start. And look at this. They're taking a page out of Meta's playbook by splitting their lineup. One pair is going to be screen-free, basically your direct line to the Gemini AI through your voice and a camera. Think of it as AI for your ears. The other, higher-end model will have that in-lens display, so you can actually see things like directions or get live translations right in your field of view.
So you've got this heavyweight fight brewing between Meta and Google, right? But don't get it twisted. This is not just a two-company show. Not at all. The race is on, and the track is getting really, really crowded.
I mean, look at this list. Of course, you've got the huge names you'd expect, like Apple and Amazon, sniffing around, but you also have Snap trying to corner the social media angle. Then there are all these other companies you might not have heard of, like Xreal, Vuzix, and Rokid, who are already selling glasses for specific things like gaming or work. The space is absolutely exploding. And all of this brings us back to the biggest question, doesn't it? The technology is here. It's not sci-fi anymore. These companies are literally building a layer of artificial intelligence to put between your eyes and reality. So the real question isn't, can they do it? It's, are we ready for it? What does it mean when the line between what you're actually seeing and what an AI wants you to see starts to blur, or just disappears altogether? Something to think about. Hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.